Okay, we are recording, and I'm going to start the slideshow. All right, so welcome to our December monthly webinar. I know that you guys are probably gearing up to head out for winter break next week. I hope that you guys enjoy a little bit of time off and get to kind of regroup and relax and get ready to come back in January for full force. This is going to be a short one today. We really don't have much to go over, just a couple reminders. And my slideshow is, there we go. So today we're going to talk about additional educational assistance or shadows, MFS reminder, some notes about PWNs, testing, the IEP Review Tool, annual reviews, and then just some basic reminders. I don't know if they can see this little recording box or not. So additional educational assistance are an AEA, one-on-one, or shadow. So we ran into this in a situation where a student left our school and went to another district who was supposed to have a shadow, but the district was really confused about that because of the placing in the IEP. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page about what that should look like in there. So if the IEP team recommends a child receive supplementary services of a one-on-one, it should be documented in multiple places on the IEP. It should be in the present levels of performance underneath, because you all know that the present levels drive the IEP. There should be a goal developed in regard to decreasing the assistance, so it should be a skill-based goal, because we know that we can't go into adulthood with somebody glued to us, so we need to have a goal to, change behaviors, whatever it is, to get it so that that child doesn't need somebody with them all day, every day. It also should be under supplementary services as additional educational assistance. And in that box there, you need to describe specifically what that person is doing with the student. Is it, redirection? What does it look like, so that no matter where that child goes, whether they're in your school or another district, someone's going to get that IEP and understand what that person is doing. Obviously, one-on-one is a large monetary commitment, so it should be really specific. It shouldn't just be, oh, we thought it'd be nice for them to have. It should be very specific as to what that person's role is in the classroom with that student. So there's some screenshots enriched, so it should be in this present levels. What are the student's academic and functional needs? That's where you're going to talk about what that person's doing, why they need it, what it's going to look like. It should be in the supplementary services part as a service, and then it should be in that description box about what exactly is going on with that person and what their purpose is. MFS. So I just really want to make sure that you guys have a full understanding of the MFS due dates and that you are sharing those with whoever at your school needs to know them. In a lot of schools, the finance officer is in charge of doing all the money piece and turning the evidence in. In some schools, it's you as the coordinator. Sometimes it's the building leader. So please, whoever's in charge of this, please be communicating with them. I know last time I shared with you that there are due dates on the bookshelf for each of the expenditure claims. So the first, well, not the first one, but for claim 7, that's due on January 2nd, and that's the last that you can request reimbursement for any money spent October 2017 through December 2017. We're not going to take late submissions, because we're trying to really avoid doing any amendments in this. It gets really, really messy. So it's just really important, if you spent MFS money between October 2017 and December 2017, your request for reimbursement, including whatever evidence you have to show that you actually spent that money and it matches your plan, is due by January 2nd. That gets emailed to the federal programs at scharter.org email and AE finance at scharter.org email. you may have noticed that Laura and I are starting to make our rounds to ensure that MFS items have been purchased and they're being utilized. That is part of our district MFS plan, that we will come out and see that, get our eyes on the items, make sure they're only being used for students with disabilities. So between Laura and I think we've totaled into about 12 schools, so we're kind of almost halfway there. But we'll be making calls and telling you, hey, we're just going to come out. Those meetings, we really don't actually have to see you. It would be great to see you, but we don't have to see you. We just have to get our eyes on that stuff and make sure it's being used how it was intended. If you have any questions about MFS, please email me. Be patient, because it's a learning process and I'm doing the best I can, but it's better to email and ask before something's due than to try to turn it in late, because it's just, we don't have a lot of flexibility with this. You want to go over PWN?
Yeah, so, we had our audit and we got some feedback, and some of the feedback, and we've had a few situations where this has come up with the prior written notice. So there's just a couple of things we wanted to make sure we pointed out. So the first thing is that every question on that PWN must be answered. So you can't just skip it or say none or anything. You must answer all the questions. It also needs to be noted in the PWN if the parent doesn't attend the meeting, when and how the documents will be sent home. So you all have that as part of your policies and procedures on how parents are going to be notified about meetings, and if they don't attend, what your process is going to be. So you need to make sure you note that in the PWN. We learned a lot from that based on the financial audit that we have been going through. The other things are, we need to make sure we're giving more explanation in the boxes than just one line. So for instance, it shouldn't just say an annual review meeting was held or the team proposed an annual review. So we should be able to read that prior written notice and know exactly what happened at that meeting. Now that doesn't mean you need to say, well, and then Ms. Jones said, and then Ms. Paul said. It doesn't need to be a he said, she said, but it needs to be specific enough so if the state pulls it or whoever pulls it, they'll understand what that discussion was that occurred at the meeting and why the decisions that were made were made. One of the other boxes we struggle with is what were the other options considered by the team, and there's always another option. So you shouldn't ever say none, because let's say you're doing an annual review, the other option would be the team considered not having an IEP or not providing services. So there's always an additional option that can be considered by the team. Hi, Michelle. We see you on video.
All right, let's do another next one.
So this next page, so we actually got this from a meeting that we went to. So just think about when you're doing your PWNs. So it's the documentation of the proposed and refused actions, right? It ensures the parents and the IEP teams are on the same page. It identifies any actions taken or refused. So you can see how one sentence is really not going to explain any actions that were taken or refused. It will include in that prior written notice what documents what data the team used to make the decisions. It also notifies the parents of their rights and protections. But basically, overall, it provides a clear and concise written summary of the student's special education related services. So we should be able to pull up a prior written notice and know exactly what happened at a meeting. So we need to be adding more to our prior written notices in some cases. Here's the other fun thing that's happening, of course, testing. So last week you all, and even the week before, I sent out some emails about the information regarding 11th grade testing, specifically SAT and ACT. So those are optional tests. They're not required. So one of the things that's very new is that the school needs, if a student wishes to take that test, the school needs to initiate the request for the accommodations from the College Board. So in that memo, there were links where you would obviously click, and it walks you right through the process and how to request those accommodations. Be mindful that it does take at least 7 weeks to get a response, so be very careful about the timelines. I think, like, if students are taking the test in March, I want to say the timeline for submitting accommodations is, I think it's about January 19th or so. But there is a schedule attached within those documents. If the student doesn't want to take it or the family doesn't want them to take it, You don't have to have a meeting. There's no opt-out forms. They are not required tests anymore. The other thing I sent out yesterday was about SCALT. So if you are going to be administering SCALT this year and you have never been trained, you must register and attend one of the sessions offered by the state, and that all that information was in the email about getting onto the SC portal and stuff like that. If you're administering and you don't have access to the portal, I think I've taken care of anybody that's emailed me. Let me know, and I'll make sure I get you in there and get you your password so you can do that. The other thing is we've had requests for testing that's been done in terms of scores being reported. So we are working hard with our new employee, Louie, in trying to get those into Enrich. So Louie is uploading the information into Enrich, and then in turn, I'm creating reports that you can pull that will have your testing information, and that will be for everybody that took the test, not just our students with disabilities. So today we did the KRA. So if you go into the reporting like we showed you, into Shared With Me, you'll find a report called KRA 2017. Save it to your favorites, choose your school, and it's going to give you all the scores of the students who took the KRA in your building. And as they're reported, as they're uploaded, we'll send you an email and say, hey, this report's available, this report's available. The other thing you're going to need to do is the testing coordinators don't have access to Enrich. So I'm sure you're getting asked about how do you get these reports. So in order for us to eliminate having to give access to, 30 or 40 other people, we're going to let the testing coordinators know to reach out to you, because those reports will be created for you. It'll be very easy for you to pull and just export and just give them that. You can email it, you can hand it to them, give them that spreadsheet of scores. Since the testing coordinators don't know how to use Enrich, they'll probably come to you and ask you anyway. And we don't want to have to train another 30 or 40 people in the system. So it'd just be much easier if you and your testing coordinator work together on those. And like I said, we'll let you know as the scores are uploaded into Enrich. We'll create the reports, and I'll let you know when they're ready to go.
Over the next few weeks, we will be reviewing IEPs submitted for the CGI. We've already started on some of those, and we'll be continuing, obviously, until we're finished. We, as part of, this audit process, have realized that it's probably just wise to use the same IEP Review Tool that was developed by the State Department. It just makes sense because that's what they're reviewing the IEPs with, so why would we not do that? So we have kind of tweaked it a little bit so that it matches our needs a little bit more. Like we took out some information that only the state would need about the students and kind of stuck with name and birthday. But a copy of that IEP Review Tool can be found at the below link at the State Department website. And then we are also going to share the Word document that we have just made a couple tweaks to. That will replace the IEP Review Tool on the bookshelf. I think it just makes sense to use that to review our IEPs, because then we're hitting all the points that they want us to, and hopefully 6 years from now, all our IEPs will be perfect. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. But I know I have reviewed a couple schools with it. I'm not sure if Laura has, so if you've seen that, that's why. Annual reviews. Be sure that your annual review meetings, you are reviewing the previous IEP goals and progress. You guys worked really hard on those previous annual IEPs, so it makes sense that you go over and say, how did we do on this? Did we meet the goals? Where are we still working? That should also be noted in the present levels of performance. So you should be kind of taking, the last progress report and dissecting that a little bit and talking about that in the present levels. Because these are all, really good information points. You designed that program especially for that child, so it's important to talk about it. That will also prevent you from using the same goal every year, so you can stay out of trouble that way. So just some reminders. Our face-to-face meeting is January 29th, 2018, not 2019. It will start at 9 and end at 3. I know that 9 o'clock is a little bit early for everybody that's traveling a long distance, but we had to do that to accommodate all of the information we wanted to get in. This is going to be a really exciting one. Laura and I are actually not doing any of the presenting for it. We are bringing in some professionals and experts from the State Department for various different topics. Part of this is required technical assistance based on our audits. So it's really important that everybody's going to be there. We know it's early, but please just make it work. Lunch will be provided, and it's just going to be a really good one. I'm excited about it. We have our January monthly webinar on January 9th at 1 o'clock. Next week's weekly calls will be canceled unless there is an emergency. We will be working except the 22nd and the 26th. So, you know, if you need something, you can call us, but we know that a lot of you are off, so please don't call us on your vacation. We know that you don't want to think about work, and we don't want you worrying that we're waiting for you. So next week's weekly calls will be canceled.
And 2 other reminders that I didn't put up. One, if you are having issues with Enrich or need something with Enrich, please don't submit a help ticket for that. Just email Emily and I about those concerns. We handle those directly. For instance, if you need things deleted or you put something in there by mistake, just email us directly and don't fill out a ticket, because the people that do the tickets don't necessarily know about Enrich. So we ask that you email us directly. The other thing in terms of testing I needed to mention, so if you have questions specifically in regards to students with disabilities and testing, please send those emails to me, and we'll help you work them through. We're trying to share the testing with our volunteer testing person right now. So we're trying to help out to make sure that, you know, we're doing our part. So any questions about testing in terms of our students, please be sure you reach out to me and just really work with that testing coordinator.
I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to leave it open just for a few minutes. If you have any questions, please type them in the box and we'll do our best to answer. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hop over here to, where's my message box?
Chat.
Oh, chat does. Okay, Michelle, if you did not buy anything, then don't turn anything in. That also counts for if you, if you created a new position and you're paying that person payroll, you still have to turn in evidence for that. So kind of keep that in mind.
Even if you bought online stuff, we're going to ask to see the app or the program or something to show that it's actually being utilized.
Yes, thank you. Jennifer Matthews, I see January 5th. I'm not sure. If you have a question about January 5th, let us know. Oh, thank you. ACT, SAT requests for accommodations are due January 5th. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. I couldn't remember the date. Michelle, you asked, I'm guessing that does or does not attend the meeting or both. You're asking about the prior written notice and how you're going to send home to the parent. So that would be specifically be in terms of if the parent did not attend the meeting. Obviously, if they're there, they're going to walk out with a copy. So that would be if they didn't attend the meeting.
And a little background on that. So our finance audit, they were requesting signature pages, and anytime they saw that the parent did not attend, they were asking us for documentation that the documents were sent home. All of the policies and procedures say you'll do that, so just really follow what you wrote and make sure you document that so we can say, sure, it's right here where they sent it home in email or whatever. Any other questions for us? We're anxiously awaiting our letters for Indicator 13 and IDEA Part B. As soon as we have those, we will share more information with you guys, but it's just the waiting game.
January's webinar.
Yeah, maybe January. All right, everybody, have a great break. If we don't hear from you, we hope you enjoy some time with your families and get a little downtime and just come back ready to tackle it in January. Have a great day.